So, over 5 hours a week in a time saving, apparently. Um, if you learn your Revit keyboard shortcuts, you will benefit by saving yourself 5+ hours of every 40-hour work week that you do within the Revit environment. Now, if you're anything like me, your average week within the Revit working environment is closer to about 80 hours. So we won't go into that. But yeah, so I ran a poll across the 80/20 BIM community members, and I had 155 members respond with what I would deem reasonable answers. And when I collated all of them and I created an average, we got an average efficiency gain of 13.36% expected when users become familiar with the Revit keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so they are definitely worth using, particularly in a professional context. That time really matters, and if you could put it to other use, you should. So in this video, we're going to go through a couple examples of, well, first of all, I'm going to run through a very quick modeling exercise so you can see how expeditious the modeling can become once you understand the keyboards and shortcuts and you're not constantly kind of flicking through all the tabs on top. Secondly, I'm going to show you some of the resources that we have available for you today. So if you have a look at this is an A1 sheet, which can be printed A1 or A3 to scale. And this will be readily available from the first link down below in the description box, okay? And this basically is a full list of all the default keyboard shortcuts within Revit. And on the right-hand column there is my recommended list of shortcuts as well, okay? Furthermore, on the Buy Me a Coffee support page, you will actually be able to go ahead and download the Revit file associated to this, as well as the Excel spreadsheet that informed all of the schedules you're seeing in front of you. And finally, you can go ahead and actually get the direct XLM export from my Revit environment, so you can just import it and have the exact same custom key mapping that I have as well. Okay, so they're all available. The first link is the free PDF because the majority of people are going to want that. Anyone wants the custom XLM mapping, forgive me, they can go ahead to the second link there. Okay, so this was spurred on by a conversation I was having with some of the community members over in the Discord channel. And what it was is they were asking, you know, how they could become a little bit more efficient. And my number one answer was just learn your keyboard shortcuts. Okay. And they wanted to go into it a little bit more detail across the community. So I said, okay, I'll put together a resource and I'll do a video on it. So today I'm going to sit down and we're going to do a very, very quick modeling exercise. Okay. So this is a blank file. There's nothing on it. I've just got 2 grids set up there, a rough section and 2 provisional levels just to get me started, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to start developing out the model, okay? And I'm going to use keyboard shortcuts for everything, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start developing a couple of grids. So I'm going to press GR, okay? It's going to prompt me to save the project, of course. And you can see now that I can just go ahead and at 6 meters, pop down my first grid. I'm going to change that to B. Okay, and then I'm going to set that. I'm going to press CO to copy, and then I'm going to click multiple and create multiple grids. Okay, and then again, I'm going to press the bottom grid. I'm going to type CO. Sorry if I'm looking a bit awkwardly down. I can't see around my mic. And we're going to go ahead and give it a 6,000 interval, 6,000 interval, and so on. We could see how quickly we can develop the grids, okay? So that's excellent. Now we've created a rough grid system for our project, okay? And that was very quick altogether. Now we want to create some associated levels. So I'm going to go double click into our section here, and I'm actually just going to click the extents of our grids up to meet the existing, okay? And you can see that we have a number of levels here already, okay? So we can press LL for our keyboard shortcut, and you can see that it brings up the level top stairs, okay? And what we could do is, on our first, I'm going to press 4,000. And this has created a level for us, okay? And once I turn on the correct level tag, you can see that this is called up. So this isn't going to be roof level, this is going to be first, let's say. Yes. And again, we're going to go LL. And I'm just going to go through that process 2 more times. I'm going to pick the right tag this time. And I think I'll just do a parapet roughly as well. Okay. Okay. I'm going to expand out those extents there. And we're going to call this second. Name corresponding views. Yes. We're going to call this roof. Yes. And we're going to call this parapet. Yes. Okay. So you can see in a little over 2 minutes, we've created our complete project infrastructure, basically, both our grids and our levels accordingly. Okay. And let's say we wanted to change the setting out of some of these grids, but we weren't sure what the relative setting out is. We can press DI and it'll bring up the align dimension. And then we can quickly create a run of dimensions, across the grids. Never do a live show, lads. And let's say, okay, I'm not happy with 6,000 there, so I can just select that dimension and change that. Okay, so you can see very quickly we can just press DI and bring up the aligned and all the other the annotative dimension styles. We can also pop in our spot elevations as well. So I can select here and give it a spot elevation, and you can see that that's reporting the same value as the level. Okay. Okay, so we've given our project its bones, let's say. So let's get into a bit of the modeling. Okay, so I'm going to go to the 3D view here, and you can see that there's nothing visible. Okay, so I'm going to go down to my floor plan there, and I'm going to go and press CL, and CL will bring up the structural column. Okay, on this, I'm going to select the column type that I want, and fine, I'm just going to use 203s. I'm going to select at grids, and I'm merely just going to click and drag over all the grids there. And what this is going to do is this is going to populate at the intersections of the grids. Okay, I'm going to press finish, and it's going to say that we haven't created any of the elements. And the reason why is I didn't give it a top or a bottom extent. So I could go up here and press our default 3D, but you can see in a bracket after that, okay, it says 3.3. And that's because I've given this a custom keyboard shortcut, okay? So rather than going up into the dialog box each time, I can just press 3.3, and that will restore me automatically to my 3D view, my default 3D view, okay? So I'm going to select my columns here, and I'm going to take them from the foundation level up to roof level accordingly, okay? So going back to the floor plan then, okay? We could go ahead and populate with other things, okay? So let's say going back to the 3D, pressing 3.3 again, I want to put in some foundations, right? Sorry, video cut out me. So we're going to go ahead and place some foundations here, okay? So I just want to put some isolated foundations. So I'm going to press FN, and FN is a custom mapping, okay? And you can see that I can select at columns, and you can see it's automatically after picking up an isolated pad foundation, okay? So I'm going to select at columns, I'm going to select my columns, press finish, and it's placed it at the bottom of the columns. Perfect, okay? Now we want to start putting in our ground beams, okay? So let's just say we go back to our foundation level view here, okay? I've got a stray bits up there. My apologies. Let me get rid of them. So we're on our foundation view here now, okay? And what we want to do is we want to just edit our view range to, I'm just going to give it minus 500. And then we're going to press BM. So BM creates a beam, and we're going to pick our rectangular beam there, okay? So this is a concrete beam. We're going to say on grids again. We're going to click from the bottom right to the top left. So we select everything that we cross, and you can see it automatically generates the ground beams. And we're going to press finish. And you can see then it joins the geometry with the concrete, okay? So you get this very clean look. So we've got our ground beams in place, we've got our columns in place, and now we have our powered foundations all in place. We've done that very quickly. So pressing 3.3 again to go back to our default. What we need to do is start populating our upper level beams, okay? So closing that, we're going to go to our first floor, okay? So we're on a structural first floor plan here, but let's say on our architectural or our coordination plan here, we didn't have this floor plan generated. So I'm going to delete that, okay? And normally when you're creating a plan and you've got multiple levels, you need to go to view and you need to go to the drop down. So you go view and you go plan views, floor plan, okay? But you can see that in parenthesis afterwards, I have PV in between the brackets. And PV is a custom keyboard shortcut that I've generated for creating a floor plan from a level, okay? So I can just press PV, and you can see that it'll automatically bring up create a new floor plan. It'll select the level that doesn't have something assigned to it automatically, but you can see that I could turn off do not duplicate and see all of them there. And I can press OK, and you'll see that our floor plan is now newly created. Okay. So what we need to do now is we need to create beams. So I'm going to press BM again. And I'm going to go and navigate to one of the universal beam members. So let's say we're going to go to a 20330. I'm going to select on grids again. I'm going to do the same selection as I did previously. Oh, including him. And press finish. Okay. And that's okay because I don't have my view extents edited. So if I go to my view extents again, I need to give a minus value for these. And then what we'll do is we'll change that to fine so you can see the construction. Okay. So now we have our beams in place on first floor. And what we want to do now is start creating a beam system. Okay. So if you go to your structural tab, you will see on beam system. Okay. There is in parenthesis afterwards BS. Okay. But when I press BS, it's not going to generate the beam system for me. Okay. So there's something that's actually happening to the keyboard mapping there. So to have a look at our keyboard shortcuts and try to understand what's going on with the keyboard mapping, what we can do is we can press KS. So when I press KS, you will see that it'll bring up all the keyboard shortcuts as they currently exist. And there are a lot of them, okay? And the majority you will see are not specified. The reason for it is try focus on the 80% of tools that you use most often, or the 20% of tools you use more often, so you get 80% effective more with them, hence the name of the channel. But the idea is that you don't want to have just hundreds of keyboard mappings that you have to remember for your shortcuts. Just focus on, let's say, if you are specifically working in one discipline, what you want to have is the default ones from the contextual menus figured out and your discipline-specific ones, and you'll probably be good to go, okay? So looking at this now, I want to type in beam systems, okay? And you can see that beam system, our automatic beam system, is not getting picked up, okay? So it is saying BS there, okay? But it's not showing the tool, okay? So when I press BS again, you can see it's actually not picking up the tool. So there's an issue with the beam systems, and I just wanted to flag that very quickly, okay? So I'm going to press beam system. I'm going to press automatic beam system. I'm going to set the fixed distance to 1500, let's say. Well, not that, 1500, and we're going to set our beam type to a 152, okay? And we're going to go ahead and just start populating our beam system, and you can see how quick this is. And if you imagine that I didn't have issues, and apologies, I hit a duplicate there. We're actually populating our entire floor deck here very, very quickly, okay? So now we've created our entire floor, and I believe that this beam system was the duplicate, was it? No, no. Sorry, this is me being a little bit... Okay, we have a duplicate in there, forgive me. All right, so now that we've created a rudimentary floor, we can kind of go, okay, we want to array this up the various levels, okay? So going to our 3D view here, okay, you can see how quickly we're modeling the geometry because we know our shortcuts. I can press this, okay? I can click and grab this, and I can press Control-C, okay? And Control-C will copy it to the clipboard, okay? And obviously, we all know that when we go to our Modify tab, then we can go to Paste, and we can say Align to selected levels, or Align to same place, Align to pick levels, all that kind of stuff, okay? But what I want to do is I want to create a custom mapping again, and I want to align to selected levels in this instance, okay? So I'm going to press KS, and I'm going to say Paste. Okay, and we're going to say paste, align to selected levels, current view, pick levels, align to selected levels, okay? And I'm going to go I'm going to use a 3-letter one, this one. I'm going to call it ASL, okay? Align selected level, okay? I'm going to press assign and press OK. So now I can press ASL, and it'll bring up the levels that I want to copy what I already have to the clipboard. And I'm going to select our second floor and our roof for argument's sake, and I'm going to press OK. I'm going to give it a moment to generate. And that's where the duplicate was, up here. No, sorry, I have to go and get rid of all them now because that's going to bug me. So you can see how quickly we're beginning to generate all this information. So now that we have a very, very rough and ready structural frame together, it doesn't have a core, so it's going to need bracing, okay? So I'm actually going to go up here, and I'm going to create a selection here. and into my filters, I'm going to check none, and I'm going to select my beam systems here. I'm going to press apply. Okay. Oh, sorry. We'll do that again. Lost my selection. I'm going to filter, check none. I want to keep the beam systems. Okay. And I'm going to delete them. Okay. Because obviously at our roof level, we don't have a floor deck like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the section box here. Might be hidden in view. So I pressed or H to open the reveal hidden dialog. I'm going to unhide element, and then I'm going to press or H again as a keyboard shortcut. And we're going to spin around. I'm just going to crop that up as such. Okay. Now, what I want to show you then is some of the snaps. Okay. So if I press B or, it's going to bring up a universal beam, but you'll actually notice that we are in the modify place brace. Okay. So it'll call up the same structural framing members, but I'm actually placing braces now. Okay. And here I'm going to scroll down, and hopefully I have a suitable member. I may not, I may have to use just some generic member for the moment. What do we have? What do we have? We got PFCs. Oh, I should have L angles in here, but look, don't worry about it. We're going to use a small PFC here, okay? And what we can do is we're going to turn on our 3D snapping, okay? And I'm going to show you how we can use our snap endpoints. So getting braces to snap can be particularly tricky. Sometimes when you're going up the vertical outside face of the building, it can be a real nuisance. But what you can do is, let's say in 3D snapping, it's going to pick up the analytical line at the top of the beam, but you can start using your snaps, okay? And you can tell Revit which snap to connect to. So I'm not positioned anywhere on that beam really. It's picking up nearest, okay? But I can press SE, and you can see it'll snap to the endpoint, okay? So I can press there, and then I can go over here again, and let's say I'm going to pick up the column. I'm going to press SE, and it's going to snap to the endpoint of the column. And similarly, we're going to do the reverse here and here. And you can see that as I'm going along, I'm picking somewhere in the midpoint, like along the analytical line, but it's automatically, because I told it snap, it's automatically going to pick up the endpoint. It doesn't matter where I'm positioned on that, okay? If I press SN, it'll snap nearest again, and it'll follow my cursor. So I press SE to snap to the endpoint again. And now we know that our braces are in plane and they're attached to the nodal connection at the top of the columns, okay? This also works for our midpoints. So let's say we have something like a K-brace, okay? I'm going to go B or again. I'm going to snap endpoint, but then on our beam here, I'm going to SM, and I'm going to snap to mid, and then I'm going to go press SM again, and SE. And you can see that we can start generating our braces very quickly. So I can go SE, 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 and I'm not tinkering around trying to force the connections. The connections are automatically going to the planes that I need, okay? And the case is that will remain true in the vertical plane as well. So if I go brace, I can press SE, 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 SE. And you can see snapping endpoints all the time, becoming very efficient. I can press SM on the beam, SE down to found, SM on the beam, sorry, SM. Apologies. SM and SE. Sorry, there we go. And now you can see that we have bracing in place. Now, obviously, this bracing arrangement is pants, but you get the idea. Okay, so you can see how expeditious this modeling process is once you understand your various keyboard shortcuts. Okay, moving on from the structural side of things, I can go to our ground floor, and I can press WA for wall. Okay, I can say finish face interior. I can give an offset value, let's say of 225, just to allow for our cladding rail depth. Okay, and I can set the height from up to our parapet. And I can basically click the outside of this column. Okay, so I'm actually finding it hard to see where the edge of that column line is. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to put it on fine, and secondly, you can see that the lines are quite thick, so I'm going to so I'm going to press TL, and TL brings up the thin lines format, so you can see the connection far, you can see the geometry far clearer in the modeling environment. And pressing TL again will reverse that. So this is your print output, and this is your modeling desirable, let's say, so you can pick up your endpoints very easily. And as you can see, we can quickly generate that wall all the way up to parapet. And now we've encased our building. And outside of that, then I can go and do wall again. I can go up to our roof level. I'm going to press wall again, WA. I'm going to say finish face interior. I'm going to say finish face interior again. Yeah. And I'm going to go down to, I don't know. Give me one moment there. We'll see if I can find something. Internal parapet. There you go. And I'm going to go to fine. And here, I'm just going to select, sorry, here. I'm going to press the space bar to flip that orientation to here, for argument's sake. Sorry, and then I'm going to do that. And now you can see that I've got a full parapet construction already generated by just using 2 WA keyboard shortcuts. Okay. Now there's other keyboard shortcuts that aren't accommodated. So going back to roof, okay, you can, like, if I went to roof and I went and gave it a view range, my apologies. So let's say -200 and -200. The reason you're seeing those braces is those braces are aligned to the midpoints and not the z-axis, I believe. Okay. So I can come in here. I can press VG and maybe hide the walls. So VG brings up the visibility graphics. Then I'm going to go down. I'm going to select walls, pressing WA. Okay. And now I could go to architecture, roof by footprint, or I could just press OR-F, which is one of my custom maps, and it'll automatically bring up the roof by footprint. And now I can just come in here and just, this is going to be very rough and ready, but I'm just going to draw a roof very quickly. And I'm going to turn off these as defining slope. These define slope on either side here. And we're going to give it a slope of 6 degrees. No, sorry, 6 degrees. One moment. 6. And we'll press finish. Okay. And now we've got our roof. And 6 degrees may be a bit aggressive. So I'm going to go down here and just change it to 4 degrees. Okay. And now we've got a fully enclosed building with a structural frame. Similarly, we can go back to our ground floor, let's say. And I can press WA and I can select an internal wall of some type. So I can come in here and press a partition, let's say. And I can start just loosely populating some walls throughout the building here. Bearing in mind, obviously, that this is not a design by any stretch. And then let's say I wanted to place a couple of rooms. I can press OR-M, and you can see that it'll automatically start placing rooms. Okay, so you can see that I'm not going around and messing around, clicking the architectural tab. I'm not going around and having to navigate through everything. I can literally just select and go. Okay, finally, I pressed FL, and now that's brought up floor. And now I'm going to just pick walls, and I'm just going to tab select the boundary walls there, press finish, and press no. So I've got a floor in place now. So you can see how quickly I'm actually getting through this modeling exercise all the way throughout the project. It's very, very quick. And I'm just going to change that down to 0 there, just to make sure it's correct. So this is really, really quick to generate the information. Going again to our ground floor, I can press DR, and it'll start populating doors throughout very quickly. I could change that then to some sort of external. So give me a moment. I'm overthinking this, but let's say I'll give it a rapid roller door on this face and on this face, and I'll give it a couple more. And then I can go down again, press WN, and start bringing in windows. So you can see that I've got viewing corridors. I've got yeah, so let's say we've got viewing windows here, so I can press viewing window there. So these are vision panels essentially. And you can see how expeditious all of this is. And I can go up here and press all the way throughout. And obviously you can be quite a bit neater. But you can imagine that if picking the tool was 1/5 of the time of actually implementing the use of the tool, then you're looking at a 20% efficiency gain. So that 13.36% estimate by the community is actually probably quite close to the true value of how much of production gain. So you can see just how quick all of this is. Yeah, we've got our building basically up and running. Again, I can select these. I can press SA, and then I can go Control C. Okay, and then I can press ASL, and I can press to the first floor. And now we've matched our windows to our first floor. And again, ASL, and I'm going to go to second floor as well. So you can see just how fast this becomes if you learn your keyboard shortcuts correctly. Okay. So outside of that, if you want to go ahead to the Buy Me a Coffee link and you want to get my custom mapping that I've been using for this, okay, you can press KS, okay, and you can actually import the custom mapping. So if I pressed import, okay, I could go down and I could select the 8020 BIM keyboard shortcuts there, okay, and that's the XLM format, and your modeling environment will automatically have the same custom ones that I have, okay. A few of the other custom ones that I particularly like is I like join unjoin. So I use UJ to unjoin geometry, and you can see that I can press this and this and this and this, and you can see that all these members, even though they were joined, it's given them an unjoin condition, okay. So now the materials are not amalgamating, they are separating. And again, I can press JN, and I can just go ahead and start joining that geometry again, and everything becomes quite neat and presentable again, you know. So you know yourself, you might have a rising wall detail or something like that, which is obviously absent from this model currently, but typically they need to merge with the footing materials and that kind of thing. So it's just a way of neatening up your presentation. There's also other things like on the ground floor. If you press DL, it'll bring you into your detail lines, so you can start drawing detail lines. Not that I recommend you ever do draw detail lines in a plan view. And outside of that, you can also press TG, and this will bring up a multi-category tag. So you can just go around and start popping your tags. So these are picking up the fire ratings on the doors, because these are 30-minute fire ratings. You can start seeing that it'll pick up the window specifics. It'll also go ahead and pick up the wall tags accordingly. So you can see how quick this whole thing can become. Again, pressing DI for our dimensions. We can literally pick an entire wall if we wish. So I can say entire wall, and on this I can give it all the intersection as well as the widths. Press open, and by pressing DI and then selecting each wall, we can get a full setting out of each wall relative to the grids, relative to the walls adjacent, as well as all the elements within the walls that are hosted, such as our windows and doors and that kind of thing. So really, you know, the proof is in the pudding. You saw how quickly this exercise has been from start to finish. I've been doing all of this modeling already merely by just knowing the keyboard shortcuts. Again, I can go into our ceiling plan. So if I go to my view and I go to plan views, I want to go to a reflected ceiling plan, and I'm going to create a reflected ceiling plan for our ground floor. Ground floor, finished floor level. Okay. And here I'm going to press CE, and you can see it brings up my automatic ceiling sketch, and I can pick the ceiling that I want, and it'll start to populate the ceilings throughout. And again, if I want to tag the rooms, I can press RT for the room tag, and it's going to pick up the rooms that are already there. And now I can press TG. It'll give me my ceiling tags accordingly for my ceiling types. And again, I can go ahead and press DI and start getting all the setting out information that I need very quickly by selecting the full run of the walls. So again, the proof is in the pudding. You can see the benefit of our keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so I would highly recommend you go ahead to the 8020 BIM and just drop your email there and get this spreadsheet here. This spreadsheet here is basically the best one-off kind of resource that I could provide that I think covers all of the discipline defaults. Okay, so all discipline defaults are combined onto this one sheet, and then I've got my recommended customs on the right-hand side there. Okay, the only thing to note is if you're an MEP user, there's two systems elements. So you'll see here that we have a system here, okay, and we also have systems and views as a combined column here. That's a little bit confusing, I appreciate, but I was running out of view room to make it all work on the one sheeter, and what I wanted to do was afford the keyboard, the custom area, a little bit more room for people who want to add to their own XML if they wish. Okay, and I just think that not enough people understand how to do the systems modeling, so I prefer putting that in the views subheading as well, so that other users from other disciplines will become familiar over time. Okay, so again, just to kind of give you an idea, we can press PI and it'll bring up our pipe modeling window as well. Okay, so that's an idea of a systems shortcut. Okay, so everyone, all these resources, this sample model, the Revit spreadsheet itself, not Zoom, the spreadsheet itself, the XML download, the Excel tabs, let's say, for each one of these that you can populate yourself, that all available as resources and downloads from both the first and the second link there. So I'm Niall, this is 8020 BIM. This is an example of how efficient you can become with your Revit shortcuts. I cannot recommend them enough. You won't know yourself once you're familiar with them. It really is, I think 13.36% may even underserve it, depending on your efficiencies in the other aspects of Revit. But both students and professionals, but certainly professionals, they should know their shortcuts without a doubt. So I'm Niall, it's 8020 BIM. As always, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff down below. Head on over to the Discord community and hit us up, say hi, and any questions or comments or anything you want to leave, you know what to do. I also really want to know what your favorite keyboard shortcuts are, any of your preferred custom ones, or even some macros that you may use if you have like macros that you use to run a series of commands in line. Okay. But yeah, as always, I'm Niall. Take care of yourselves out there, and I will see you for the next one. Bye, guys.